Welcome back, traders and investors. We have Nic Chahine on the line with us, creating income with option spreads. Nick, we were tweeting a little bit back and forth about the Googster there going ahead to earnings. How'd it turn out for you?
Well, it turned out okay. I mean, it's not ideal. I expected, actually, I expected a lot worse as soon as I saw that the market rejected what Google had to say. I mean, it had a miss and a miss, which I anticipated a drubbing after that. Luckily, they tested it down to the lows where they wanted to take it, and then they immediately bounced back, which was encouraging. But then that's where the encouraging news stopped. I expected them to buy it a little bit, or at least not sell it yesterday. Yet they continued selling it yesterday, but they didn't take it down to extreme levels. So I guess it's mixed results as far as expectations on my part.
Okay, did is Netflix one of the stocks on your radar?
Yeah, Netflix. I played the lotto yesterday. I tweeted it out there. I don't like to do credit spreads. Actually, I don't do credit spreads unless I'm stuck in one into earnings at all, because it is, as you guys know, the earnings is a coin flip, really, regardless of the numbers themselves. It's how the people react, or the traders react, or the markets react to the actual numbers that is the coin flip part, which obviously makes the whole move. So if they hit their numbers on the money or blow them out of the water, but they say a word that the traders don't like, then you end up losing a good thought out, fundamentally driven trade based on reaction. So I stay away from credit spreads. So I end up taking what I call lottos. And we've talked about that before, right? You do a debit spread, straight out call, straight out post, whatever you want, a directional bet with finite money, and that's all you can lose, and you pop the popcorn and you watch the results. And that's what I did with Netflix yesterday. I bet it on the upside. I took a call spread at 367 and a half. So it's going to be fully priced in at the open if it opens where it is right now.
Which two calls did you do there, Nick?
67 and a half, 70.
So you make $2.50, and how much did that cost you? Just curious, like what the risk return was.
In the 80s, I think it was 84 cents.
So you got like a 2-to-1 risk reward ratio on that play.
Yeah, it was. I just wanted to participate, and I didn't want to put a ton of money into it, and I didn't want to do a credit spread. The only time I do a credit spread, and when I do a spread like this one I just mentioned, I'd sell another spread of same equal amounts higher to finance half of it. So I'll find a $2.50 spread higher than 67.50 that covers about half the price of the 80 cents I just mentioned, 84 cents, and I'll sell that one. So worst case scenario, if it jumps up $100, I'm covered. One loses 100%, the other one.
Right.
I mean, for
Wins.
what for the investment that you put into that, to that call spread. I mean, couldn't you? I mean, if you're talking lotto, couldn't you got a little bit more bang for your buck? I mean, I don't know. This thing settled, lower at 345 or so. Couldn't I mean, were like the 360s real expensive or the 365s? Did they have those just jacked up with premium? So you really wouldn't. I'm just curious as how
I
they're.
had I had a couple of orders open, and that's the first one that triggered. So I
Okay.
canceled all the other ones. It's literally a lotto ticket. I mean, it's just pick your spots. I have friends that went way higher for a lot cheaper, thinking it was going to jump up $100 like the Google one time, which would be a home run. If I do that, I just don't do a spread. I take call
Okay.
straight out call.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's something to do without having to get hurt badly. So you can pick your spot. Usually, I go closer to the money. Premiums are high. I just wanted to pick. It just you look at it, and one of them calls out to you, and that's the one that called out to me yesterday. I'll be happy with it. It'll open there. I'll cash it in. I won't wait. I won't be greedy. I won't want it to pull another U-turn on me sometime during the day. I just
Yeah,
cash
you'll
it
be
in.
out, right? You'll cash in at the open. Turd Trader, he went the 365, 370 call spread. He paid about 84 cents on it. Had an upside of a little over a double. It will be in the money now. So you just exercise it and you're done and you walk away and you look for the next trade.
Yeah, you don't want to wait too long. I mean, like I said, last couple of weeks, it's you can't overstay your welcome in a trade. Just look at the turnarounds we've had recently in the momos. It's just
Right.
crazy. Yeah.
So do you cover it out then, or do you wait for like the expiration? Like if obviously you got to wait a whole another 4 days, so would you just cover that out then in the Netflix today?
I'll just sell it.
Yeah.
I'll just sell it to close it. I told you it won't be the top. Leaving money on the table, in my opinion, is part of being a successful
But
trader.
you're not leaving anything on the table here.
I am. I won't get to 250 to sell it this
Yeah.
morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
The-
won't get the whole thing, obviously, because
no.
there's still going to be a premium there because there's 4 days left with the option.
Right.
Huh.
If it was Thursday or Friday morning,
Okay.
then you probably will get it. Like I did last week. I forget what it was. I think I had short somebody, Tesla, maybe
You
somebody.
shorted a stock, Nick? You shorted a stock?
Well, via puts.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he'll play them both ways. He's a trader. You had IBM too there. You had IBM. You had
That's what it was. IBM. That's what it was. I cashed it in and ran away from it. I left maybe 15 cents on the table. Had I waited the whole day, I would have gotten the full of it. But close it and move on. You don't have to watch the screen. It's just
Take the
money.
money when you got the money in this market because it's
Yes,
taken away from you.
yes. You cannot stay too long. And all week long, I'm doing lottos. I'm not going to play every stock. I'll just want the wild ones. Just take a stab at it. Throw a few $100s on it. Depends on how much you have in the basket. You can make it bigger if you can afford to, and just watch it. And maybe you can easy double your money overnight on a headline pop like that, which is earnings.
Okay, Tur Trader, just a quick execution question here. Do you set up, do you put the order in as a spread, or do you just order triggers, order OTO there, an auto, or do you manually just close them out with, pick two prices and close them out?
I don't. I think he's asking, or she, if I leg into it. I don't leg into a spread ever. I just put the spread on both legs on one order. It's just avoids all kinds of mishaps.
Yeah, you miss one side and it can get a little bit ugly there, obviously.
Yeah, I mean stuff happens. Like this morning, a lot of people can't log into Thinkorswim. What if that happens in the middle of your trade?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
that's scary. That's a scary thought there in
Okay.
itself.
All right. So Nick, overall market thoughts here. We are bumping up against some resistance that we had back at the beginning of April. A couple highs here. S&P's just tantalizing traders hanging out right here at the resistance. No things have changed on the macro front, right? Since Russia's still kicking up their heels a little bit, but everything okay in stock index land.
Yeah, well, you're reading my notes there. I'm sure of it. Well, here's my thought. Like I said last week, nothing changed fundamentally. Like you just said now, yes, that is absolutely true. And the headlines did not go away. The headlines are still there. We're just ignoring them. I mean, they're still fighting among each other, but it's local, and that was my point last week. This is a local struggle. It's not a global struggle. Nobody's interested in doing anything globally because everybody gets hurt. We can't put embargoes on Russia. We have more to lose than they do. And they don't want to do it. They got what they wanted without firing a bullet. But now it's a local struggle. So we're ignoring the headlines for now. That's good. And last week, I think it was the VIX stopped on the 11th, started to peak, and I wrote a note out there saying that it's going to come back in line like it usually does at that point, and that was the top, and then now it's back in line at the bottom. And you mentioned the SPX. Yes, we're at resistance. I see from the open interest that 75 and the 80 lines are going to be strong resistance. But then after that, there's a small vacuum, even though it's still resistance, but not as big as a wall up until the 1900, which is a huge wall. So there is a chance, if a long shot, in my opinion, if we can break 80, we might get suckered into the 1900 for some reason. But it is a lot of resistance. I would bet against it.
What about Twitter? What are you thinking on this one now? Because the stock has obviously had a pretty good day a week ago there, and now it's had 4 days of consolidation, digesting that 5-point up move that we had from the $40 area. Do you think this is digesting the move higher here, or are you looking at fading this move too?
This you need a neck brace for that. I have not traded it. I watch it here and there just for market sentiment, and it has the same shape all the momos do. Spike up and a dribble down, and now back to levels that are really important, right? Now it's bounced off of that level, but now it's at a level from where it ran up. It had like 5 or 6 candles back in, I want to say, early in the year, maybe January. No, actually early December into January, and no, wait a minute, December 9th. It had 9th, 10th, big candles up, up, up and away. So there's
Yeah.
a chance it could do that again. I'm not certain. It's a trading vehicle. I can't imagine anybody's using it as an investment vehicle. The company has yet to prove how it's going to make money.
Right.
Okay, well, we got Apple coming up, I believe. So you're usually pretty good at picking those levels. They tried to break out on Friday and squeeze the 525s a little bit. We did get above that level, giving back a little bit today. Where does the money seem to be flowing in the Apple options?
The Apple options, I don't make any trades based on open interest into earnings on Apple because it just tempts me into making trades that I don't want to do. Then I'll start saying, "Oh my God, the 550s look like a brick wall. I'm gonna, place some bets over that." So today, purposely, I did not look at the open interest. But yesterday, I'm serious about it. I downloaded all the open interest that I usually do, except for Apple. But as of yesterday, the 550s look like they were hard to break, and it starts at the 40s actually. So it, I think. I think the market makers, maybe premium sellers, are going to win on this one. So it's going to fizzle out and be much ado about nothing. But just in case, I'm going to I'm going to be optimistic on it. I'm going to go long on Apple into the earnings via another lotto trade. I have not picked it. Usually I set it up about a week in advance, but this time I ran out of time or forgot or something. So, and then I cash it out even before the earnings because people usually run it up into the earnings. But lately it's been kind of wacky. So the Apple earnings, I'm just going to play exactly the same way I did with the Netflix. I'm going to pick a direction, take a debit spread on it, put it and pop the popcorn and see what happens. And
Okay.
then
And
and then the trade happens right after that. After that, then I'll lay it on big. If it depends on what happens and how we receive it as a market, I'll set up the trade. Most likely, it'll be a bullish trade based on the reaction.
Okay, and then just going back macro a little bit, JH3's question, are you still following the U.S. dollar, Japanese as an S&P indicator?
I am. That's a great question. Less so of me mentioning it lately, which is great news. For a while there, I'm going to be like Dennis Gartman. I'm going to be along this in yen terms, but anyway, so it's not as much as an inverse trade anymore. We for a while we were trading tick for tick inversely. We had two versus two. We had the yen and the TLT beating up on the markets and the 10-year, and now it's less so. The yen is back at the bottom of the channel from where all the trouble started. So hopefully it won't bounce back up to keep trading in the channel. But it has had a lesser effect on the markets. So we're free to trade a little bit of fundamentals here, or at least a little bit of market movements as opposed to reacting to what the rates are doing. The rates are the rates. It's just how we freak out. I really believe that this was driven by the unwinding of the yen carry trade that people say there's zillions of dollars in it, and the yen is rising, so people must be getting beat up, so they got to cover. And money has to come from somewhere.
What do you think of this plug power? They were talking about how you got to trade or fade Twitter in the chat there, and we're also some of our traders are thinking of fading the plug too. And yesterday, the plug fade was the trade. The stock got up there on that conference call all the way up to 837, and then they just started bashing it and bashing it and bashing it all the way down to below $7 there here. Obviously, they didn't like what they were saying in the call, and the stock is now trading down another 7 cents here today, below 7 at 693. What are your thoughts here on this one, this plug power?
Well, yikes! That's the talk about everybody on the same side of the bus for a while. It's challenged that level quite a few times, 2, 3 times, and only one time, a couple of days, actually a day and a half, it spiked over that. I had the gap up, and then it ran up, and then the massive candle way back down the next day.
Yeah.
And then since then it's tried. Usually I'd say, well, it's knocking on that level from higher lows. That's usually pretty good, but it's usually pretty good on something that's based on fundamentals. This is pure
Right.
pure speculation. I mean, we've had batteries for forever. Uh, it's not like we discovered them yesterday. And I wouldn't buy this for me personally. This is not something I believe in. I'm an engineer, electrical engineer at that, and nothing there tells me, wow.
You
You know,
got to own
I'm
it.
more excited about 3D printing than this. I mean, 3D printing.
Oh, boy.
In 3D printing, I bet you anything, you will have one in your house like a microwave. I mean, I know I will. If they get cheap enough, I'm going to have one in my house where I can
Uh,
cheaply run
Which
it.
which 3D printing stock do you like? Is there any of them that you're picking on here? Long term play.
I didn't say I like a stock. I said I like
you, like,
it.
you like the
Nick,
concept,
Nick,
none of the
what?
stocks though.
We can't
Too
get nothing by
expensive.
this guy, man. This guy is sharp. Jeez, oh boy.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, here's why. I liked the Prius when it first came out, but I didn't like what it did to the P&L at Toyota. I mean, they were losing money, but they had to lay it out to create the industry, to create the market. And everybody else should kiss them fully on the lips because they invested all the money and they made it mainstream. And now everybody else came out with a hybrid and piggybacked on all the marketing efforts that the Toyota did. Same here. Somebody's going to take the bite here, the bullet, I should say. And I mean, the stocks look awful. If I'm looking at the
Like,
Triple D, it had a massive head and shoulder that what it had was sometime in January, middle of January, and it looks like it satisfied it by this level here. And then recently, it's nothing but fallen peaks. It's just
Stay
clobbering.
away.
But on a flyer, I I would go long on a flyer with that. I mean, it's back at level where it's consolidated for a while since last May or so. It established itself that it can trade around this level quite well, and then it broke out to massive heights, and then it fell back to here. So if you want to go long on the company, I don't know the fundamentals of it, but if I look into it and I like the fundamentals, and I want to be in the 3D printing, that's as good as any, I guess.
Okay, we've had Nic Chahine on
Evaluation.
creating income with option spreads. Getting us his take on the market, individual stocks, Apple earnings tomorrow. Nick, thanks a lot for coming on, and have a good trading day. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks, guys. You guys rock. Great show.
Thanks, Nick.